All righty then, it's 11:49 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON, and it's that time of year again where you have all of these different back to school giveaways, and there's special people that do this. Larry Disparti is one of many different law firms that advertise, as we watch our favorite judge shows and all of that. But more than that, he takes his business very seriously in his practice, and he wants to give back. Larry Disparti and the Disparti Law Group has partnered with District 009 CAPS and Chinatown Bridgeport Community Watch, Buckets Over Bullying, and countless other community organizations to give away as many as 2,500 full-stocked backpacks for kids this year. The firm is also holding a big event Saturday at Armour Square, at Armour Square Park at 3309 South Shields. Good to see you, Attorney Disparti, again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You look very well. Life must be good to you. You've lost a lot of weight from when you first started doing this.
Young kids who have been active this summer.
Oh, all right then. Tell me why you do this, why you give back like this.
Well, I mean, for me, in the very beginning, the reason why I became a lawyer is to help people, right? And so as we've grown and done things, it's very important to me to give back to the community. And for me, education and kids and providing them things like backpacks and supplies are, this is going to be our third year. Mm-hmm. We've given out close to 10,000 backpacks over the last few years. And there's something that comes with seeing the joy in the kids when they get the bag, right? When they get their supplies. And they feel equipped. I feel like they're excited. Kids are excited to get back to school, and they have all the tools they need to be successful. And it's and I think it's helpful for parents, right? Things are expensive right now, and so it's a win for everybody.
I was just saying, when I was growing up, our parents were responsible for everything. I never remember people having these kinds of events as I was growing up, right? And so I have to ask you. The work that you do, your family's doing well. Does it surprise you how much these families are struggling?
It does. I feel like there's such a huge need. And so the bit that we do is just, we're only able to help a small fraction of those in need, right?
Well, 2,500 fully stocked backpacks is a pretty big deal.
No, I agree. But, I think it's a combination of things, right? And you got economic issues. This year, for example, like the state of Illinois, they didn't renew the sales tax discount, for people to go back to school shopping.
Right.
And I think, again, going back to things are expensive right now. And
But how has it impacted you, seeing that you've been so blessed in your lifetime? How does it impact you knowing that you can change people's lives and help them like that?
Oh, it brings me great joy. I feel blessed to be able to give back and do what we're doing, and it's kind of what drives me, to keep doing what we do every day. It's just, I think it's important. I think it's very important education. If we're gonna, help rise kids up out of bad situations or whatever their situation is, education to me is a big part of that.
You're still a very young man. You are you're still a very young man. Tell us about what your journey has been like becoming an attorney. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so, I grew up, my dad was a union worker, a labor union, and I was the first in my family to go to college. And we grew up, I don't want to say, never felt like we were poor, but we didn't come from much. And so, I always kind of had this...
Did you grow up in Chicago?
I did not. No, I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know, right? But, and so then, I wanted to make a difference. And even early on, I wasn't necessarily sure it was being a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But as I got into college and dabbled in helping out on various political campaigns and thought maybe that was going to be the path.
How did you end up in Chicago?
Well, I've always, 15 years ago, my wife and I, we came here and we just love the city. We would come here all the time.
Wait a minute. I feel like you have been a part of Chicago's fabric forever.
Yeah,
based on your commercial.
Yeah.
You guys moved here 15 years ago?
Yeah. And first it was falling in love with the city, and then for me on a professional side, I felt like there was a void in what we were doing compared to what maybe some other law firms are doing, and so I opened up and we decided to
hung up your shingle.
That's it. Yeah.
So what do you see the future? Now, how many offices do you have now?
So right now, our main office is downtown,
Okay.
and after COVID, we kind of consolidated some of our different locations we had throughout the city into just the main office. But what we've been doing over the last 10 years really is growing in different ways. So personal injury, car accidents are a big part of our practice, but we also do an awful lot of Social Security disability, helping people get their disability benefits.
I did notice that you started advertising Social Security
Yeah.
disability. And, everybody thinks, oh, well, I'm going to go on disability, and they decide, oh, well, I'm going to go and apply. It doesn't work like that, ladies and gentlemen. You need an attorney, someone that knows what they're doing. Tell us how important that is.
Yeah, it's so important. I think sometimes there's the idea that, look, I paid into Social Security, that's kind of my money, and so all I got to do is apply for it, and the government's
Doesn't
supposed to give it
work
to
like
me.
that.
And it just doesn't work like that. And unfortunately, the process is long and tedious, and if you don't have somebody who knows what they're doing to help you, there's some missteps that could either delay your case or lead to you not getting your case awarded. And you're dealing with the government, so they're not real customer service oriented, and so it's tough to get a hold of anybody. It's tough to get things moving, and when people apply, just nationwide statistics, 89% of all applications get denied. So if you don't have someone helping,
You said 89,
89%.
90% they get denied?
Yep, the first time they apply. And so a lot of people give up, and they shouldn't, But
What about in terms of attorneys? Are there a lot of attorneys in Chicago that deal with disability rights, or 'cause-
there's a good number, but not it's not like, say, personal injury, right? Where
All
you
right.
see lots of personal injury lawyers everywhere. There's not as many disability lawyers, but yeah, there's a big need in that area too. Just even on the education side of how to apply and all that. And so how we work and any other disability firm works is we don't get paid unless we get you your benefits, right?
So how is Disparti a law? How have you been law group? How are you doing? How have you built your business?
I've been building through seeing a need. So when I first started, I wasn't because currently right now we do workers' comp, help people get hurt on a job. People with employment issues against their employers, we're now helping them. Car accidents, disability, but all those things grew out of me seeing a lack of service for that particular area. At least I felt, and so that's kind of what led our growth. We've expanded to these different practice areas, such as employment law. So
Right.
now we're taking on cases for people who are either being harassed at work, being discriminated at work, not being paid the right wages, things like that. And that was because we would get phone calls and had a hard time finding other lawyers who would be willing to help take on that case and fight for the person. And so I decided that we should fill that void.
How many permanent employees do you have with you now?
In total, we have 140. Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
You talk to me every 2 weeks. It is a lot.
Oh, you said talk to you every 2 weeks. Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for doing this. Where can our listeners go to find out where and the times and the places where they can participate or have their children get one of these backpacks?
Yeah, they can definitely go to our website, larrywins.com or dispartilaw.com. And then the event is Armour Square Park right next to Sox Field this Saturday the 17th from 11 to 2. We got,
Let's not talk about the Sox. It's the most
I know.
embarrassing thing in the world.
It is tough to see, but
Yeah.
but we have the 9th District Chicago Police Department's coming out. We're doing a softball game with the kids. We got bounce houses, food, drink. Jesse White Tumblers are going to be out there performing, so it's going to be a great time.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in, and he didn't even know that we had moved from 87th Street, and we've been here
And it's been
a
a
long
while.
time. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
doing that. All right, guys, it is 11:58 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVO. And thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Titus. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Guess what? We're going to do it all over again tomorrow. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
I'm Candace McCollum, and here are your news headlines. Illinois is establishing a long-term blueprint to support aging residents. First human case of West Nile virus detected in Will County. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams plans to highlight migrant crisis at DNC next week. We will have details on these stories and much more headed your way. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on The Voice of a Nation and the Talk of Chicago, WVON, 1690 AM, Berwyn, Chicago.